Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic: shattered blood, broken watch. You know, it's funny how some men, all men really, and always men more than women, tend to think things, machines, schemes, plans are broken when the man, expectations are not met. And there was a recent example of this on the internet when Apple released the ECG update for the Apple Watch 4. A feature that would give you a one-touch, one-electrode heart reading to tell you if your heart was in AFIB or not. An atrial fibrillation is an irregular heartbeat, also called arrhythmia, that can lead to trouble with your heart, creating clotting problems and stroke issues and other muscle-related failures. And about 3 million Americans have AFib, and many don't even know that they have it. Well, this guy tested for AFib via his Apple Watch, and the watch told him he was in AFib. And the guy didn't believe his Apple Watch 4. So the guy tested again, and he tested on the other arm. He turned the watch upside down and tested on the underside of his wrist, then on both wrists. And the result was still AFib. All results point to AFib. And the guy was furious. Not really that he had AFib, because he didn't think he had AFib, but he was furious because his watch was broken, and it was telling him that he had AFib when he was quite certain he in no way had AFib at all. He felt fine. So this guy tested his Apple Watch on his wife for AFib, and immediately the results were no AFib. Well, now this guy was really getting angry because his Apple Watch worked just fine on his wife, no AFib, but when he put his Apple Watch on his own arm, it was broken. The watch was broken when he wore it, and he tested because he always got AFib. So his wife said, maybe you should go to the clinic tomorrow, get your heart checked. And the guy didn't want to go to the doctor. That's why he bought the Apple Watch in the first place, to guarantee his health status as he knew it to be. But he agreed anyway to go because his wife was going to nag him all night if he didn't say he was going to go. So he knew he had to go and get real proof from the doctor that his Apple Watch was broken so he could send it back to Apple for a replacement watch. Well, when this guy arrived at the clinic in the morning, he saw a long line of people and did not want to go in. So outside, he checked his Apple Watch. AFib again, still broken. So the guy went inside the clinic, told the front desk, hey, I have this Apple Watch, the ECG thing, and this AFib they think I have. And bang, zam, zoom. That guy was put at the head of the line to see the doctor. The guy didn't know that the mere threat of AFib, was a golden pass to the front of the line. And so the doctors tested him. Yes, you have AFib. And the doctors said they knew Apple was releasing their ECG testing with this Apple Watch 4, and while the doctors expected to get some new AFib patients, they had no idea they'd have one first thing in the morning. And the doctors were surprised that this one lead ECG of the Apple Watch looked and performed just as good in readout as a 12-lead standard ECG in the doctor's office. They were impressed. And our guy, now our AFIB guy, shocked and alarmed that his AFIB diagnosis from his Apple Watch was true and confirmed by doctors, was forced to admit that his broken Apple Watch was, in fact, and indeed, not broken at all, and had worked as designed, and had actually probably saved his life. What a shattering truth. And now, my human meme friend, we must pause to ask, why are so many men like our AFIB guy? Why do we tend to disbelieve proof we don't want to hear or acknowledge? Women generally don't seem to have that particular genetic problem too much, especially when it comes to healthcare. "If I don't bring an umbrella, it won't rain on me," he said as a thunderstorm cracked above his head and drenched him. "My wife misspoke when she said she didn't love me," he said as he watched his wife pack up the car and the kids to meet her new lover to start her life all over again. "No man is an island," said the hermit who lived alone in a shack in the woods. And my human meme friend, I am of the broken watch platoon. And I present myself to you now in full life, almost in living color, for a restless shellacking. I have high blood pressure. I've talked about that in this before here on your Human Meme podcast and in writing on bolesblogs.com. I regularly take my blood pressure at home with a machine. And sometimes my machine reports a higher blood pressure reading than expected. And my first reaction isn't that my blood pressure is elevated. My first reaction is that the blood pressure cuff isn't set quite right on my arm. Or I pressed the start button too hard. Or the machine is broken because it suffered an electrical spike. Or something. The conclusion every time is not that I have a spike in my blood pressure. Impossible. There's always the blame something else response, I fear, and frankly, that ability to blame an inanimate object, anything other than me, for my deficits, comes quite easily and naturally to me. Machines can do the work. And even when, like the AFIB Apple Watch guy, I get my wife to come on over and test her blood pressure on my broken machine, and her blood pressure is super low, like hypotense. Well, I use that not as confirmation that my blood pressure is high compared to her, but that the blood pressure machine is broken. Because nobody can have such low blood pressure like my wife. Unless, of course, the machine is broken. Ah, the wonders we weave to deceive. The truth we cannot bear. And I am then, as always, shocked back into reality when I visit my cardiologist, who easily confirms my blood pressure really is high and that my blood pressure machine is in perfect working order, not broken. And even as I am telling you this, my story, my blood pressure is rising because it's just so stupid that I will always take positive confirmation of the outcome I want, but refuse to accept an out-of-spec reading that disbelieves me, and I blame it on confirmation bias, even if I'm the one doing the confirmation. Ah, the joke, and my spurtling aorta is on me. And I'm not sure if we men can ever be clamored away from our disillusions. We want the world one way, our way, as the only way. It's what wars are made of. But the world is always changing, and the universe can never be bridled. And our bodies are not our own. We cannot control the physiology of us completely alone. And so we melt down as we age, and we realize the world is no longer in wonder of us. And getting older is an annihilation. And if we are to survive beyond our greasy mark, we need to grow up and play along with reality. And we need to realize, accept really, that we are broken, we have been shattered, and that we shall forever be busted. We have not been decanted by our machines, but by our own deceptions. And then perhaps, with the grace of the land, and with the insight of the gods, we may one day, in a dream, or cast upon a wish, the knowledge that we actively choose to be more malleable and not so rigid, and that we may one day wake to the shake of a shattering shellacking. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.